I mean, I got to talk about Mad About You. I mean, how many shows did you pitch before Mad About You?
Um, I, it wasn't like I was sitting there coming up with ideas and then I said, I got it. How about this one? I think I had 2 or 3 times I had gone out with the script or had a deal to write a script and never got made. So I think over, early 80s to, maybe I guess 90, had a couple of opportunities where I'd come up with an idea and some were sold. But Mad About You came, again, I was saying to somebody, I'm not the most aggressive, assertive creator. Sometimes I need an invitation or an encouragement. And in that case, I had been on another show and I had a little bit of visibility as a comic. And I was approached by the studio, whatever became Sony. It was a smaller studio, the TriStar, I guess it was called. And so invited me to write a script for yourself. And at the time, I was newly married, and that was my stand-up act was all about things I was discovering and then finding success with it. Like, oh, that material about relationship, that's actually funnier and deeper and feels better to me than, hey, California's different than New York,
Right.
So
right.
I like, oh, this feels like my wheelhouse. And so I said, almost like as a disclaimer, I said, if I was going to come up with a show, it's not going to be a wacky idea. It's going to be really small, like, and they said, well, go write that. And so that's what I went home and wrote. And I knew that, that we could have fun doing that. The pitch, and I knew there was something to it that when we pitched it, I remember going to the 3 execs and each one, I give a little example of what it was and they'd all go, oh, all right, so listen to this. So my wife, and they would have stories from their own.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so this is pretty universal. But the pitch of that was, and I'm proud of this because it was a good pitch. I said, when you're out with your wife, you're at a party and you're socializing, you're talking and you're just, you're being nice with everybody and you say goodnight and you get into the car. I said, the second that car door closes, that's the show. I said, when you're driving home and you go, why would you say that? I didn't know she was pregnant. Yes, you could. It's like, it's just the intimacy. And to the extent that we can keep the cameras out, just pretend that there's cameras in the back of the car, in the back of your house. And, as we went on, our sort of motto to ourselves was it's got to feel more like life and less like a TV show. Because sometimes we all come up with a great line.
This is pretty much the pitch.
Yeah, well, but no,
but
it was our sort of mission statement as we were going. It's
yeah.
Like sometimes, somebody would write a really great joke. I'll go, yeah, but you know what? Nobody would really say that. Or if a wife said that, then that would be the end. It's like, no, it sounds too much like a really funny guy on a TV show. Obviously, we went for jokes and we went for laughs, but
there was a real undercurrent of reality there.
That was, and ultimately, that's the sort of the filament that. For those people who liked the show, that's what they came to. Even if they couldn't put their finger on it, they go, it just felt real. It's like, yeah, because we worked at that.
I mean, you guys are going toe to toe so many times. I just remember in that living room.
Yeah.
And just, it felt like you're watching a movie or a play. It's just like, it was so bad. Was that hard to memorize? I guess you were writing it.
No, it was never hard to memorize for me. I mean, as a stand-up, I was used to talking for a long time. And yes, I would either write it or be rewriting it or I'd sit with it. It was never, and you're doing, 4 pages at a time. It's not, you're not doing an hour and a half straight. But same thing we were talking before about being excited before a show, before tape night or even just in rehearsals. Like if I saw 6 pages, and that was my favorite stuff to write. It was like, if you look at it, it's just dialogue. And I know I'm playing with, somebody as great as Helen Hunt. And these characters, and you're just, that was joyful, and I couldn't wait to do those scenes.
Did the dialogue change a lot on opening night, like on Friday nights when you recorded it?
No.
You were pretty much solid by Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it wouldn't change. Sometimes you'd find something in a pause or a laugh, but no, we're certainly not making up lines.
Right.
But, and the other thing was, and this was sort of key to assuring Helen when I sent her the script before she did the pilot. I said, this is not Welcome Back, Kotter. It's not funny guy and a wife going, oh, honey. I said, this is equal. This is 50-50. And it's And it's not he's neurotic and she's sane, or she's neurotic and he's the. I said, within every scene, oh, he's got it together. Oh, now she's got to be this. Oh, now she's nuts. He's got. And I said, and that's what marriage is. It's like, I mean, there are days, certainly in my marriage, I go, where I got to be the voice of reason, and more often than not, she's got to be the voice of reason. It's like, okay, that's how we got this far.
Did you know it was Helen Hunt when she walked in the room?
Yeah. Well, I invited her. What happened was, I was in the middle of writing the pilot, and we were invited to a dinner party. My wife was friends with, we were friends with a woman who was a friend of Helen's. And they actually shared a house in the hills, and they were housemates, and they had a dinner party. And there was maybe 10, 12 people there. And I had never met Helen. I'd seen her in a few things, and I thought she was great, but I had in my head a whole other look. Helen does not look at all like my wife. And I was picturing brown hair, brown eyes, and like, they're all saying, you can't choose who you love. Love chooses you. Yeah. So I'm at this party, and I'm going, she's cool. I said, she's adorable. She's really cute. She's funny. She's whip smart. She's just offbeat enough. I said, and she's really bright. She's a really smart woman. And so we're leaving the party, and I remember turning to my wife. I go, "What do you think about her as you?" She goes, "She'd be great." I said, "I don't know." So, you don't want to follow up a dinner party. That was lovely. Read the script.
I'm in love with her.
Yeah,
yeah.
But I sent her the script, and she used to tell the story that like she was just getting on a roll, getting some traction in film, and the last thing she was thinking of doing was a half-hour sitcom, and in her mind, sitcoms. And she was a huge fan and student of sitcoms. She could recite she was on Mary Tyler Moore as a child.
Wow.
She was Murray's daughter, but she knew every Lucy, and she, the things that endeared me to her was like, okay, and Mel Brooks records by heart, and David Steinberg records by heart. Geez, okay, this is going to work. And so she read the script and said, yeah, I really like this. I don't know what to do. I really, she was sort of reluctant to like it. And she came over to I said, let's just talk. Let's just read it. So we would read a scene. She's such a deeply rooted actress.
Yeah. We
had a scene, and it was in the kitchen. So I would do it like this. We would just read it. Not Helen Hunt. She got up and she started going to my sink because she's, the scene is in the kitchen. And so she's talking to me, and she's washing dishes in my house. And she was so convincing that I actually said, Helen, you leave those. I'm going to get to this. No, I'm doing the scene. Oh my God, you're doing the scene. You just knocked me right. It was like so real. So when we went in, we had to bring in other people. I think there were a couple, I don't think many. But so that was even before we started casting. So I already I said, I think we found it. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
That's amazing.